I'm asking you to do this for me.
Let's finish this.
Hello and welcome to Butter Movies. Tyson got very lucky. For now, Tyson remains a free man in his conscience. He is not yet a killer. Joining forces with Dwight means the possibility is always within reach, but for now, he's free of that guilt. How long will this dynamic last amidst so much chaos? Dwight saw something in Tyson from the beginning, and despite Tyson's youth and inexperience, he's kept him close. But loyalty isn't free, and Dwight drives home to Tyson what it means to be part of his inner circle. When Tyson made a reckless move that could have ended disastrously, Dwight didn't let it slide. In any other family, that sort of half-baked decision-making would have spelled the end for Tyson, but Dwight operates differently. Mitch is a bright man. Despite hooking up with a genuine mafioso in Dwight, he seems to have learned from his mistakes. He uses common sense and compassion with Tyson, knowing it might be Tyson's last chance to get out of the life. If he murders someone, there is no turning back. He will see that life every time he closes his eyes for eternity. It's easy to kill someone, but it kills a piece of you, too. Tyson has learned nothing from his father, which is what's so damned heartbreaking about this turn of events. A real head-scratcher was discovering that Mark was awake and had heard everything Tyson said to him in the hospital room. Why didn't he reach out to his son and tell him not to do something he'd regret? Calling him was too late. Asking Dwight to call Tyson away wasn't enough. That was a super weird development that I didn't like at all. It felt contrived and awkward. If you wondered just how green Tyson was and how out of his depth he was with this situation, look no further than the fact the kid had his ringer on while waiting to make a hit on someone. Now, he may be in the clear. Bevilacque's guy may just be injured. We just had a similar scenario when we wondered if Mark died at the end of the last episode, only to learn he made it through fine. Maybe Tyson represents what could be rather than what we expect of gangster interactions, and from this, too, he will emerge relatively unscathed. Does it matter? He made a move that will anger a man who is not easily angered, Bevilacque, and who was willing to give Dwight a chance without making a war of it. This can't be good. Bevilacque rightly thought that to put a hit on Dwight meant the beef was personal. Discussing the situation with his partners, Bill came off as level-headed and interested in maintaining a useful and profitable relationship with Dwight. To him, it makes no sense to kill Dwight when he's a major earner with incredible growth. He's not against whacking him somewhere down the line. I don't believe him, but not now. Well, maybe now, but not when they were discussing it. The reality is that nutter Jackie was at the bottom of it. He's cold and calculating, with no regard for human life. He even scares the hell out of Cal Thresher, who I don't think stands a chance of making it out of the season alive. Cal is small potatoes, but after this episode, I realized Jackie is even smaller. He's an idiot. His big ideas for making the big bucks will be smashed to smithereens by his short fuse. That's not good for the long-term success of your business. Dwight knows that. Bill knows that. Hell, even Vince knows that. I'd be willing to bet that Cal's business will soon be up for grabs. In my opinion, Cal's only move to save himself would be to ask Dwight for help. He's in way over his head with Jackie. There's no way out because he's not a killer. Dwight would prefer not to be a killer, but he does what's necessary. Things in New York are changing, too. Vince is floating the idea of taking out Chicky. Keeping the New York faction doesn't seem doable in the long term for Tulsa King. New York is in Dwight's rearview mirror. Sure, we can guess that every gangster is interconnected to some degree, but it makes more sense to focus on Tulsa and the surrounding areas, especially since Tina and Joanne have joined Dwight there. Other than finishing out Chicky's story, there isn't much reason to carry on with New York. Dwight appears to be building a solid foundation in Tulsa. He's got his family, and he's getting the girl, a girl who almost makes him blush. I was shocked that Andrea Savage disappeared so early this season, but it has made room for Dana Delaney to get some much-deserved screen time and Margaret to be more fully fleshed out. There's more to her past that I hope is uncovered as the seasons continue. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Dwight is puzzled that despite everything she knows about him, Margaret is willing to put the danger aside and consider a future with him. And make no mistake about it, she wants that. Will that sentiment change as things continue to heat up through the end of the season? She seems pretty tough, but so did Stacy, and look what happened to her. There are 3 episodes left in Tulsa King Season 2. All we can do from here is try to make educated guesses about what's next. But Tatiana Zapadino, who plays Tina, can do more than that, and she did in our exclusive interview. Her advice? Don't get too attached to anyone because not everyone makes it out of this one alive. What do you think is coming for Dwight and the gang? Does Tyson represent something unique on the show? Shoot me your thoughts in a comment. Dwight realized that Tyson had done permanent damage, and there was no other option but to face the situation head-on. Bill had come to know that it was Dwight's men who had shot at Vic Aliotto, and he had made the decision to not stay quiet. Bill was livid, and he wanted to kill Dwight. Bill was done playing petty games, and he wanted to put an end to things once and for all. Dwight told Tyson that he shouldn't have done what he did. He told him his recklessness could have cost him his life. Dwight made Tyson understand that he was a part of the family, and even if he was wrong, everybody would support and protect him. But that said, Dwight made it clear that it didn't mean that he would break the chain of command and act on his own accord. Tyson felt a bit overwhelmed hearing Dwight's words. He had presumed that either he would be fired from the gang or Dwight would take some strict action against him. Tyson didn't reveal anything to his father, and he told him that everything was under control. Meanwhile, Dwight went and told Christina that he needed to leave Tulsa and go back to New York. Obviously, Christina was hurt, but somewhere she knew she had expected that to happen. She told Dwight that if things went downhill this time around, then he probably wouldn't get the option to make things right once again. Christina didn't meet her father before leaving because she didn't want to get emotional and do or say something impulsive. Dwight was obviously shocked when he found out that she was gone, but he knew that he couldn't do much about it. So Dwight and his gang geared up for the upcoming battle, not knowing if they would be able to protect their territory or not. Vince, since the past few episodes, was in talks with the heads of the various mafia families. He pitched the idea of removing Chicky from his position as the leader of the syndicate, and he had very strong reasons behind doing so, the primary one being that everybody was inclined to be on his side. Though nobody had evidence to prove it, they all knew that Chicky had killed his father. So in Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 8, Vince finally decided to confront Chicky with a few other respected members of the syndicate. Chicky probably knew that Vince was going to go against him, but he hadn't expected that it would happen so soon. Chicky was told that his recklessness had cost the syndicate a fortune. The profits were at an all-time low, and Chicky was told that he had made some bad decisions, which caused people to lose faith in him as a leader. Chicky had sent Dwight to Tulsa just because the latter's presence made him insecure. The syndicate members told Chicky that if he hadn't banished Dwight, things wouldn't have turned the way they did. Chicky was angry beyond any measure. He would have killed Vince in a heartbeat if he had the opportunity. But he knew that he needed to step aside as he couldn't go against the syndicate. I believe it would be difficult to keep Chicky on the sidelines. He will hit back, and maybe he will be reckless enough to go after Vince and spoil his cause even further. Maybe he will join hands with Thresher and Bill, though it seems like a far-fetched possibility as of now. What happened between Bill and Thresher? Bill Bevilacqua drew first blood when his gang members shot Body and Jimmy. Jimmy got gravely injured, and we will come to know in the subsequent episodes if he survived or not. Meanwhile, the inevitable happened, and Thresher was thrown out of his business by Jackie Ming. I don't know how Thresher didn't see it coming, considering he knew how things worked in his business. Since the previous episodes, we have noticed that Thresher has no control whatsoever over Jackie. Jackie had his own army, and he knew that Thresher wouldn't be able to do anything to him. At the end of Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 8, Thresher met Bill and told him that it was Jackie's men who had planted that bomb in Dwight's car. Thresher wanted Bill's support, but the latter was angry at him for being so reckless. Bill was trying to sort out everything and look after his business, but one wrong move had spoiled everything for him. War was inevitable, and Bill knew that very well. Will Dwight kill Armand? Armand was in a desperate situation, and he had only himself to blame for it. For short-term profits, he did certain things that had a far-reaching impact. He had betrayed Dwight's trust and told Cal Thresher certain things he shouldn't have. Armand knew that it was just a matter of time before Dwight found out the truth. Armand was like that pawn who people used and then threw away. Dwight gave him a chance to build a life for himself, but he didn't respect that. Armand met his wife and told her about his plans to become a state witness. He asked her if she would come with him, and she, for obvious reasons, lashed out at him. Then Armand went to Thresher to ask for money, and once again, not only was his request turned down, but he was insulted in the worst possible manner. Armand had no choice, and so he decided to do something disastrous. He went to Dwight's cafe, where Goody was counting the money and keeping it in the safe. Armand stole Dwight's money at gunpoint and escaped from there. Goody told him that he was signing his own death warrant, but Armand had made his decision. I don't think Armand is going to be a problem for Dwight, and in the subsequent episodes, he will be caught and forced to pay for his actions. The bigger problem was to deal with Bill and Cal, and now I believe Jackie could also become a threat to Dwight. Dwight needs to protect his territory, and it would be interesting to see how he overcomes the obstacles and tackles all the challenges that come his way.